Believe it or not, we are ready to go for 2024 in the NASCAR Cup Series, even though it looks like there's going to be a little bit of a delay with the Daytona 500. Welcome to Mystery Caution, the new YouTube channel where it's all about motorsports, NASCAR, IndyCar, and F1. We had our video recorded just a few days ago with all three of us. CJ Radoon, of course, will be taking care of F1. Eric Smith, full-time now, IndyCar. Can't wait for that first interview, the first driver interview coming up in a couple of weeks. That'll kick things going for the rest of the season in IndyCar coverage. And then, yes, NASCAR is still going to be a big deal here on our new channel. We're also just, you probably noticed, we're still going to post some videos, clips, just some snippets on Prime Sports Network, the main channel, just to kind of get everybody over. The viewers that have been with us for a long time or a short time on Prime Sports Network, we're going to move you guys, hopefully, over to Mystery Caution, and that's where we want you to subscribe. Because even though we'll have clips and videos still on Prime Sports Network, anything that is going to be, everything regarding, like if we do a 45-minute show, we might do 25 minutes of it on Prime Sports Network. You want to watch the whole 45 minutes, you got to go to Mystery Caution. And that's why we want you to subscribe over there. So even though we're still going to have clips at Prime Sports Network, we want you to subscribe over here at Mystery Caution. Is that where we are? Yeah, I believe we are. It all depends on where I post this. But I don't know. Maybe I'll post this on both channels because I'm recording this on Saturday. And maybe it's a good thing that I recorded this on Saturday because the weather is saying that it's not looking good. Now, I try not to predict the weather in NASCAR. Sometimes they get the race in that I don't expect it to, but most of the time, you look at the weather and you can just know, yeah, it's not going to work out. And this is what I'm looking at for the Daytona 500. And I think you're all seeing the same thing. If I had a wager on it, I'd say they don't even start the Daytona. Matter of fact, if I had a wager on it, I'm recording this right now about 3 o'clock Eastern on Saturday. I'm going to say that at some point today, maybe even the next few hours, because I don't think they're going to wait too late. They want everybody to kind of know what they're going to be doing for the next couple of days. I think they're going to let the fans know that they're going to start it on Monday. Now, I know they're going to try to do whatever they can to get it in on Sunday because the attention, Sunday coverage, the ratings. This is something that they've been promoting for months. And to have it moved to a different day, especially, it's not like it's a Saturday race and they got to move it to Monday. And I got to tell you what, maybe this is a good idea, something they should be thinking about in the future. It's such a big race. Why not schedule the race on Saturday? There's nothing else going on Saturday. There's no more football. You're not competing with anything. So just do it on Saturday. Maybe do maybe Daytona 500. We'll start it a couple hours later even. 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. We'll get in half the race during the light, the other half at night. Why not? And then, if there's some weather issues, you move it to Sunday. Okay, that makes it much easier. Because it's too big a race to have on a Monday. That's just my opinion, and nobody seems to care about in NASCAR. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Let's, and you know what? All I want is I just want to watch the race from start to finish, no interruption. And if that means Monday, so be it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right into it. For me, I'm bye for now. Let's take a look at what the race is. Yes, big surprise, the Daytona 500. So this is race number 1 for 2024. And taking a look at a couple of track trends that you want to keep an eye on. The last 3 winners and 8 of the last 12 at Daytona, this is the track, started outside the top 10, including 21st, 29th, 31st, and 34th. All right? So that's why out of all the races that we're going to talk about this year, I'm not even going to talk much about pole position. It doesn't matter. Okay. Toyota has not won in the last 7 trips to Daytona. All right. That's important. There has not been back-to-back winners at Daytona for the last 8 races. So that's also very important. Last 8 races, no back-to-back winners. And how about these last 3 Daytona 500 winners? Yeah, we all predicted these guys. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Austin Cindric, and Michael McDowell. How about that? And this is another thing we talked about quite a bit. That what does this do for the image of the race? This is supposed to be the race. Like if you ask anybody that's not a diehard NASCAR fan, somebody's just, they know motorsports, they've heard of the Daytona 500. They think the Daytona 500 is like the Super Bowl. So therefore, they believe whoever wins the Daytona 500 is the best of the best. That is just not the case. It is so far from that. And here is an exact example. Just from the last 3 races. The last 3 Daytona 500s, to be specific. All right, so not good. But that means you can make some money. Problem is when you go this far outside the box with names like this, it makes it hard. It really is. It really does. Okay, now what we're going to do each week, or what I'm going to do, because I don't have a partner now, I'm only going to see CJ and Eric a few times during the season because they're going to be busy with F1 and IndyCar. So when I get into the picks each week, and by the way, I'm also going to be seriously considering doing live previews each week. And the reason I'm considering that is because I'm going solo. But I'm not going to go live if it's just going to be me. So I do want to. I'm gonna pose this question to the viewers. If I go live, let me know. Is there a specific? Because I've also been thinking about. Well, now that I'm solo and not have to worry about another schedule, I can determine when I want to do the previews each week. Normally, I would say, well, I'm going to go ahead and do it on Thursday or Friday. Why don't I just? I mean, I got nothing. Why? Why not? Right? But especially you can even get in a practice session or so, and you get more and more news potentially for that race that week. But I do feel it's an advantage for us to record these videos as early in the week as possible because I know that most people are recording their previews later in the week. So why not get a jump start? Because the information is not changing. The information I'm going to be providing for you here on this show and every other show that we're going to preview as far as the races for the Cup Series all season, I can get this right now. I can get it for next week, the week after. I'm all set. So all of this information, I don't have to, it's not like I need Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to prep. Okay, I can prep on Monday and be ready by Tuesday. So that's the reason why that's the direction we're going to go. Okay. But what I do want to know is if I go live on Tuesday, give me like a time. Let me know. First of all, I want to know if you guys want me to go live or not. All right. And if I only see 1 or 2 people say yeah, then I got some thinking to do. And maybe I'll still do it and try it out and see what works. Because just because I do it live doesn't mean it still won't be available after the fact on demand. But what time? What time of day? Let me know. Let me know because I want you guys to be available. So if you say, hey, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever, just let me know and it'll all be helpful information. You cannot have a wrong answer. Okay, now, so what I'm going to do each week is I am going to go into each driver and take a look at their track trends for the race, for this specific race. So we're going to go in alphabetical order now. This is what I might change this, but right now I'm going, because it's a lot easier for me to go in alphabetical order because I can keep everything on my format, my software. It's a lot easier. Okay, so let's start with AJ Allmendinger. And look, I'm sorry you guys that we did not talk about this and we were not available on Monday or Tuesday. I wish we were. Because I took AJ at 80-1. I could not believe that I was able to get AJ Allmendinger at 80-1. So now he's 40-1. I don't know. I haven't looked at the odds in the last few hours, so they might have changed. So again, these odds, and every sportsbook's going to be a little bit different anyway. But AJ is still 40-1. I still think is a pretty good bargain. But I was able to get 80-1. And you look and you see 3 top 5s and 21 all time at Daytona, and that's not all that great. But average finish of 9.8. over his last 6 races at Daytona. On top of that, last year, not good. In his last race. Okay, last August, the last time he raced at Daytona, he finished 29th. But before that, his previous 5, his average was 6. So that 29th last August moved his average to 9.8 over 6. It was 6.0 out of 5 with 5 top 10s and 2 top 5s. On top of that, the reason he's gotten so much better lately in Cup is because he got so much better lately in Xfinity. And the cars, I can say the cars made a difference in Cup, but I'm not so sure it made too much of a difference in Xfinity, but whatever the case may be. AJ, 4 top 5s in 6 Xfinity Series races, including 4 straight top 5s from 21 to 22. So from 2021 to 2022, he had top 5s. And all that's telling me is, by the way, he doesn't have a win. So that's the negative. But you're still getting 40-1, and he's without question going to be a part of my picks. Okay, next up, Christopher Bell, my pick to win the championship this year. Of course, you know my pick last year was my boy Ryan Blaney. And I don't know if you noticed. Let me back out of here. I don't know if you guys saw it, but there it is. All right, I had to get it. I mean, it wasn't expensive, but I had to get something in quick. So there it is. Now, maybe I will splurge for an even better Ryan Blaney. I know they're out there. But, I mean, come on. What an incredible season it was for me covering that, especially late, how it all transpired. It was just so awesome. But we're not talking about Blaney. We're talking about Bell, because Blaney was my pick for the championship last year. And you might say, oh, you're a homer. You're going to pick him again. No, he's not even in my top 4 this year. I didn't even pick him for the championship for this year. So it was just, I just really have, and the proof was in the pudding. I just knew the kid had it in him. And I had been saying that for 5 years. Said the kid had all the talent that Chase Elliott has in my mind. Difference were the teams. And I just knew eventually, and the year before, remember, it was the team just wasn't good and they weren't picking him up. But this past year, the team finally picked him up. And he put it all together, and the timing was perfect, and the track was perfect. The way it worked at Phoenix was awesome. It was a great experience, and I'll never forget it. But Christopher Bell's my pick to win the championship this year. As far as this race, he's 22-1, and he only has 1 top 5 and 8 appearances at Daytona. But that was 3rd in this race last year. So that's a good sign for Christopher Bell this week. And you're getting 22-1, which is not a bad number. He did lead 20 laps in the race last year. There are so many other options, though, that it's one of those decisions you're just going to make. You know, because there's the odds are going to range from 10-1. I mean, there's so many drivers that are like between 10-1 and 60-1. It's just amazing. And of course, you know that we get this only at these tracks, Daytona and Talladega. But that's why it can be difficult to predict who's going to win, which is why you have to usually double your wagers in these types of races. If you make 5 picks a week, well, when the Daytona races and the Talladega races come around, you better double that, 10. And that's where you go ahead and make a few extra picks, and Christopher Bell could be one of them. Next up is my boy, Ryan Blaney, 12-1. Now, he's not the favorite. So, believe it or not, I believe he's like the 5th choice, co-4th or 5th choice, which I don't understand, but maybe it's just because he only has 1 win at Daytona. We all know that Ryan Blaney right now is the king of let's just say the super speedways. He is, now he could have a co-king, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, but nobody's better right now than Ryan Blaney on these tracks. Nobody. So to get him as the 4th or 5th choice is not bad, even though it's 12-1, it's a short number, but it's not 4-1, it ain't 5-1, it's still a solid number. And you have to take Ryan Blaney. You just have to anytime you're at Talladega or Daytona. And again, he does have a win That was back in 2021, but he does not have a Daytona 500 win. Next up, Alex Bowman. Can Alex Bowman come back after what happened last year? Both Bowman and Elliott, the teammates, can they return? Especially now they weren't on the same level, but they both were at a certain level before last year. Can they get back to that level that they were in 2022? And before that, Bowman 28-1. That's not a bad number, actually, because, and you might go, yeah, but he only has one top 5 in 15. All right, but take a look at where he was last year. 5th and 6th in both races. Once again, you got good odds. And his average out of 15 races, his finishes, 16.1. That's pretty good. So Alex Bowman is is underrated in these races, and I definitely would play Bowman because of those odds. Chase Briscoe. Now, Briscoe is a definite one. He's got to be on the short list for comeback drivers. He had such a bad go at it last year. There were a lot of reasons. You remember what they were. You're going to start off, though, in this race at 40-1, a big number. But look, he only has one top 5 out of the 6, and he has 4 wrecks. Some of it's luck, but until he kind of can get on a little bit of a run, which I think still happens. Look, some drivers are just going to be better than other drivers on super speedways like this. That's just, that's the fact. But other drivers just need more experience. Briscoe could be one of those guys because look at the bottom sentence. Okay? He led 67 laps from the pole in the last Daytona race. And that is definitely something to consider. Now, if he could down 4 wrecks out of 6, not good, but look, I haven't done a deep dive to find out how many times it was his fault, was it luck, but that info from last August gives me a little bit of, you know what? Remember, let's go back to this. What did we post here? The last 3 Daytona 500 winners were Ricky Stenhouse, Austin Cindric, and Michael McDowell. Next up is Chris Buescher. And I feel really good about Chris Buescher because if you've been following us for years, you know I was on board with Buescher a couple of years ago, a couple of years early. I picked him on my fantasy team a couple of years ago. Went with him again early on. I'm not sure if I picked him when the season began, but I remember one of the 2 years I got him early in the year. I think it was last year when I got him earlier in the year. And then rode with him the whole year. Fact is, I really felt that there was something there. I don't think there's another gear, though. I think what he did last year is I think that's what Chris Buescher can do. I think that could be the driver that we'll see now, moving on. Respectable, maybe win a couple times a year. Maybe he can get to the final 8 to give him a chance to get to the championship 4. Not sure he's a championship driver yet, but CJ believes he could be. And he is CJ's official sleeper for the NASCAR Cup Series this year. He's 16-1 in this race. He's got 5 top 5s and a win in 16, which is really solid. He's got that win coming off the very last race at Daytona in August in the Coke Zero Sugar 400, even though it wasn't a dominant win. So keep that in mind. He only led 2 laps in that race. And if I have to, let me see if I can get an exact number of, let's see. No, I went the wrong way on that one. I'm going to try to get the exact number of laps that Buescher's led. 44 at Daytona. So not a whole lot. All right. Anyway. And the other thing, too, is it's 16-1. See, I think he's deserving to be 16-1. He's a good driver at Daytona and Talladega. This is the type of races that Buescher can do well at. But I don't know. Back-to-back wins, consecutive wins, that's going to be really hard. Next up, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch was my favorite driver for a very long time until Ryan Blaney took over. And it's not like I'm still not a big Kyle Busch fan, because I am. It's just that at some point, the driver gets old and you got to look for the new young guy, and that's what I did. And I really just started to like Blaney. It's very similar to my college basketball or my college sports, the way I root between. Everybody sees that I'm a big Rutgers and Michigan fan. How can you do that? Blah, blah. Well, it's because Rutgers is my home. Michigan was the team I grew up with. I mean, you don't grow up rooting for Rutgers. Nobody knew anything about Rutgers, even if you were in New Jersey like I was. But when I ever rooted one against the other, I always went with the underdog, Rutgers, because they needed it. And that's what I did with Blaney, is that I equally loved both of them, but Blaney was the guy I rooted for because he was the underdog. He's not the underdog anymore, so that'll be interesting. But anyway, Kyle Busch is the co-favorite at 10-1. This is only because of one reason. He's never won a Daytona 500. And that is not a good reason to make him a co-favorite. Okay, this is not another sport where, hey, yeah, I know he's going to be focused for this because he's never won it. There's so much luck we all know that goes into this. But remember, Kyle was really strong last year. And there's a lot that should go into that because I had him last year as a top pick. And we all know that if the race would have ended on 500 laps, he probably wins the race. But it didn't. They went the extra couple of laps. He wasn't able to hold on. He got screwed again. Look, some great drivers have never won the 500 before. So, and he's 10-1. It's a low number. Overall, he's got decent stats there, but just a one win and no 500s. And look, the last 9 average is solid. I'm not saying I'm not taking him because I do believe you should take him. But I think you should only take him to try to get your money back. William Byron is next. And Byron is getting 18-1. That's not bad. But that's because he's not all that great at Daytona. 2 top 5s. He's got the win back. Actually, where was that win? Do I have that here? Yeah, 2020. And Byron has wrecked, as you can see, 7 times in 12 races. That's why his average is 24.7. So no, I am not going to consider William Byron this week. Ross Chastain. Now, Eric and I both have the same feeling about Ross Chastain, that he is going to be a really good pick. And is a matter of fact, we have our new futures model this year, where we can now, in the past, we could, whatever we wanted every week. It was every week, all season long, $100 minimums, whatever you want. And it was just, I was with the way things are going now, I just felt, that was just too crazy. Let's just kind of make it a little bit more easier for us. And also, and have it more easier to follow. So each of us have $1,000 to spend on the season for our futures. We have $100 minimum on drivers, meaning we can do 10 drivers, and that's it. If we want to do $100 on each driver. And we can make a futures prediction anytime between now and the week before the big race in Phoenix. I've already invested 200 out of my 1,000, so I only have 800 left. And I did it on Kyle Busch at 14-1 and Ross Chastain at 18-1. And my reasoning is pretty simple. I got $1,000 to spend. If Kyle Busch or Ross Chastain win right now, and whatever I do with the other 800, let's say I throw it all away on other drivers, I still will make money if one of these 2 drivers win. That's my feeling. And so I'm going with the bargains early, Chastain and Busch. But we both like Chastain, Eric and I. Eric has Chastain winning the championship this year. I have Chastain as my sleeper to win the championship this year. And he's 28-1 to win this race, though. Completely different than winning a championship, because look at that. He's never had a top 5. He has an Xfinity Series win at Daytona, but he's never come close in the Cup Series. Austin Cindric, Mr. 2022 Daytona 500 champ, has another top 5 out of 5, so he's been pretty strong, 30-1. But can he win 2 500s in 6 races? I kind of doubt it. Big year for him, though. Big year for Cindric. Next up is Dillon, 30-1. Another must play. Austin Dillon is really good at these tracks. Now he has 2 wins, including the 2018 Daytona 500. And to me, it's similar. Dylan is like if I had if I was picking several drivers where I know I'm going to take no matter what, I'm going to get good odds on them at these races all the time. It's going to be Stenhouse, Dylan, and AJ. Especially at Daytona. AJ, Dylan, and Stenhouse because of the odds and how good they could be at this track. Dylan has 9 top 10s, 4 top 5s, and 2 wins in 18 races. 50% of the time in Daytona, Austin Dillon's in the top 10. That will give you a chance to win. He has the 2 wins, the Daytona 500 win as well. And let's see, last year, though, was pretty bad because he wrecked both times. So maybe he's either due to get out of that or this is a run that you kind of, because I'll tell you right now, if he wrecks again, then I stay away from him until I see something positive. I wouldn't want to get into that. But and keep in mind too, in the Xfinity Series, he's raced 10 times, 7 top 5s, and a win. So it's not just the Cup Series; it's the Xfinity Series. Dylan's got to be his best track. So I have to take him at 30-1. Chase Elliott. I am counting on Chase Elliott to rebound this year. He's on my fantasy team. He was my second choice behind Ryan Blaney. I can't believe I have both Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott on my fantasy team, so I'm stoked about that. Elliott, 14-1. I think that's a pretty good price, for Elliott, considering he's a fan favorite. Just 3 top 5s out of 16. 2 of those were runner-ups, so that's good. Look, he's been okay in these races. He's pretty good at it. He's not great, but he's pretty good at it. He does have an Xfinity Series win. To tell you the truth, I probably want him at 16 or 18. But like I said, he's a fan favorite. That's probably why he's 14. It's a possibility. I'd probably say no because I have other drivers with better odds that I'd go with. But Elliott, maybe it's one of those things that, you can see the headline, Chase Elliott, wins the first Daytona 500 after a tumultuous 2023. But I don't know. I still think the odds are that's what's keeping me down. All right, Gibbs, Ty Gibbs, and he's on my fantasy team this year. So Ty Gibbs, matter of fact, Eric has Ty Gibbs as, what does he have Ty Gibbs as? Does he have Ty Gibbs as his sleeper? Yes, as his sleeper, his official sleeper, Ty Gibbs. And he's 28-1. But take a look at his Cup results. Not good. Never led a lap. Cannot take Ty Gibbs. And you know what? He hasn't really done much in the Xfinity Series as well. This is just something he hasn't figured out yet. But we are expecting big things from Ty Gibbs this season. Next up, Justin Haley. And if you're ever going to take Justin Haley, you're going to take there's a couple different tracks. This is definitely one of them. Especially at 60-1. He's already got a win, okay? And as you can see, he did on his very first appearance back in 2019. And if you look at overall his history, including the Xfinity Series, 2 more wins there. His average finish in 7 starts in the Cup Series is 17.7. That is strong. So Justin Haley, you know what? I'd probably put him in there, to tell you the truth, with Dylan, Stenhouse, and with AJ. That he's a must-play at his odds every year in Daytona. Denny Hamlin, one of the co-favorites as well. He should be. Still one of the class drivers at Daytona. Look at that. 11 top 5s and 3 wins in 36 races. Nobody's better as far as the stats are concerned. But the big but. Over the last 5, the average is 23.6. He's going through a bad stretch. And because of that, I can't take him at 10-1. Interesting enough, what did we say about Kyle Busch? Okay, we can go back to Kyle Busch in his last 9 races. His average 16.7. Now, and Busch has 8 top 5s, which isn't that bad. And we know Kyle Busch knows how to race at Daytona. Okay? But Denny's got 3 wins. And Denny's been a Daytona 500 champ in all 3 of those wins. 3-time Daytona 500 champ. But that last 5 average is the reason I got to stay away from him. Eric Jones. We kind of felt Eric was close to being a nice little comeback candidate last year. Didn't go as well as we would have liked, but there were still signs. And that's why Jones is still somebody that could be a really good sleeper play this year. as far as this race, is 25-1. He's got the win out of the 14. And if you could see overall, Jones, by the way, that was 2018, that win. A couple of negatives, though. He has not had a top 5 in his last 9. And his average finish at the track is 22.5. So, not the driver I'd go with this week, but 25-1 is a good number. Brad Keselowski, 11-1. Very nearly a co-favorite this week. And that just shouldn't be the case as far as I'm concerned. We know what his career has been at Talladega. He's been much better at Talladega than Daytona. He does have a win here. But 4 top 5s out of 29. 11-1. 1 win. Now, he is coming off a runner-up, the very last Daytona race in August. But as you can see, it was his first top 5 since the win. The lone win at Daytona in 2016. I can't do it at 11-1. Next up, Kyle Larson. And you know what I'm going to say about Kyle Larson. It just keeps going on. Every time we get to Talladega, Daytona, we see the low number. It's low again at 12-1. It is just criminally insane that he's got the same odds as Ryan Blaney. It's ridiculous. And we keep saying it's ridiculous every time, and every time we come back to the next race, he still doesn't have a top 5. No top 5s in 19 races. And all you have to do is take a look at his history at Talladega, combine it with Daytona. The guy is just terrible at these racetracks. There's no... Honestly, he should be 22-1 at best. And I throw that number out there for a reason, we'll get to a little bit later on. But you know what we're going to say about Kyle Larson. Look, if Kyle Larson wins, to me, it's like Ricky Stenhouse, Austin Cindric, or Michael McDowell winning. The difference, you're only getting 12-1. Joey Logano, still very, very good at Daytona. One of the best. 8 top 5s and a win. Surprisingly that he only has 1 win. But Logano has his 500. That was back in 2015. And last season was a good season for him. Both top 5s, including a runner-up. So Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney are 12-1, yet Kyle Larson 12-1. Come on. But yeah, Joey Logano is really hard to not go with, especially since he was strong last year. And I just put him up there with Brian Blaney. I'd go with Blaney, Logano, and Kyle Busch before I'd go, forget about Larson, but before I'd go with Hamlin, just based on the way Hamlin has slumped recently at Daytona. Next up, Michael McDowell, the 21-500 champ at 35-1. But winning a second 500, I'm willing to bet that that's just not going to happen. Ryan Preece, 40-1. Just 1 top 5 out of 8. Yeah, Preece was very disappointing last season. Very disappointing. Matter of fact, I think CJ had Ryan Preece last year. I know he did on his fantasy team, and it really worked against him. Yeah, Ryan Preece just... now, does he fit the trend of the last 3 winners? Absolutely. If anybody was going to win to follow that recent trend, Ryan Preece could be that guy. But I think the other guys just were better at Daytona. And so I would say no. Ryan Preece does not have a good enough history at Daytona for me to think that he's going to just pop into that winner's circle the way those other long shots did. Tyler Reddick, 28-1. I believe Eric has him in his championship 4. 2 top 5s out of 9. Got a runner-up. You are getting 28-1. That's the big difference here. That's what would get you, or at least it does. It's the only thing that kind of gets me going. But, I mean, look, I'm considering him. He even though he wrecked 5 times out of 9, once again, but what it tells me is if he doesn't wreck, he's been okay. Half the time he doesn't wreck, he's in the top 5. His average finish 24.1. That's because of the wrecks. But how about this? He's got an Xfinity Series win at Daytona, and he has a Truck Series win at Daytona. That means something. I think Reddick at 28-1 is a play. He's a guy that, in my mind, kind of looks like those 3 long shots that have won here recently. And he's one of them. Ricky Stenhouse, 30-1. He's the defending champ, which is the reason why I can't take him in this one. So that'll open a spot, say, for like Tyler Reddick. So normally I would take Stenhouse, but I'll take Reddick instead because I'm just going to bet against a back-to-back Daytona, back-to-back champion. I just can't see it. Daniel Suarez, this is not the week to take Daniel Suarez. 50-1 for a reason. Look at that. Just not good. Now, he was 7th in the 500 last year, so he's got that, but not good. Here's the guy that I was, when I was talking about Larson at 12-1, this is the guy that, remember I said, well, I could see him at 22-1, and this is why. Because, and I said this last year, and you know what? Truex actually had a pretty good run last year in a few of these races, super speedway races, because we know he's not a super speedway Cup driver, and yet I keep going back to his Xfinity Series days when he was awesome in on these tracks, and I don't understand why he wasn't able to translate that. So I know there's something there that's still simmering somehow that says, yeah, you know what, I can see Truex. But look, if Truex was 12-1, of course I'd be like, no way. 22-1, and now I'm like, yeah, why not? Now, I'm not saying I guarantee I'm taking him, but I'm just saying I will consider it at 22-1. And he does have 2 top 5s, 2 runner-ups out of those top 5s, but 37 races, that's a lot. And the last driver on this list, and we're going to go over this. Most of these guys that I talked about today, we will talk about every week. Most of them. The guys that are not on this list will not become drivers I'll be putting on this list until they start to show that they deserve to be, and I'll get into those drivers in just a bit. Bubba Wallace, 18-1. Yes, I think he's a definite play. Very good at this track, as you know, with the 4 top 5s and the 3 runner-ups. And you're still getting a pretty decent price on him. Anything less than that, and I'm balking, but I think 18-1 makes a lot of sense. And by the way, 2 of those runner-ups were in the Daytona 500. Okay, now, the other drivers that I left out this week, let me just see which ones are worth mentioning. Well, Josh Berry's 45-1, first Cup race, but that doesn't mean he can't win the 500. I mean, crazier things have happened. But he's never had a top 10 in 5 Xfinity Series races at Daytona. So that's the reason why I would say no. Corey LaJoie, we know he could pop up on these tracks every once in a while and do something. Out of 14 races, his average is 18.1, which is not totally bad. John Hunter Nemechek, first Cup race, just 1 top 5 out of 5 in Xfinity Series at 60-1. Gregson, he might be an interesting one, a sleeper in this race. He's been in 3 Cups. Daytona races. One of those was a 5th place finish, and he has an Xfinity Series win. Gregson's another one of these drivers that I expect to have a rebound this year. His year was so awful last year. He had so much momentum over his last 2 years in Xfinity Series that we expected a lot more, and then he had just so much turmoil last year that I expect bigger things from Gregson this year. So he's 55-1. Zane Smith, the big-time Truck Series racer. By the way, he won 2 truck races in Daytona and was 13th last year in his first and only trip to Daytona in the Daytona 500. That is pretty good. I think he's a play. I think he's one of those guys, one of those drivers that could do something special out of nowhere. He's 50-1. Burton's never had a top 10 in the Cup Series at this point. Hemrick has never had a top 10 in the Cup Series at this point. Hamrick does have 2 top 5s out of 11 in the Xfinity Series, but still not good enough for me at 90-1. And I think that's it. I think we've covered them all. So that is going to wrap it up. We did 40 minutes. Normally, I would think that's a good time, because normally I would think that we'd get through on 30 minutes because there's a lot of intro and explaining what this is about and all that kind of stuff. So I'm happy with the 30 minutes that we should normally put together here. And like I said, as far as doing a live show, that is something that I am definitely considering. So let me know your thoughts on that. And as far as picks, let's go and show them. Here are our picks for the Daytona 500 for 2024. All right, that's going to wrap it up. So we'll talk to you again next week. I promise it's early in the week. Maybe Wednesday if we go off to a Monday finish. But next week it's Atlanta. And it's not going to be as fun. Of course, it's not going to be as fun without Eric on board here every week. But it's just the way things are now. And it's for the better, because Eric's IndyCar coverage and his ability to interview IndyCar drivers all season. I said this the other day on our show with CJ. I'm still at that point where I'm like, all right, I'm holding out. We'll see what happens at first interview, because it's almost too good to be true. I think it's going to be such an awesome thing for us that all right, we'll see. Let's get that first interview. And then when that first one's in, man, I'm going to be really stoked. And I'm really happy for Eric. And I really hope, because I know what this can do for the channel and our exposure, and that's going to help everybody else out with our F1 and NASCAR coverage as well. So I think that's awesome. And of course, we can't do it without you guys. So please keep the comments coming. Matter of fact, just taking a look at the comments from the end of our season last season. Paul Moss, thank you guys for all of your thoughts and insights on this year, which was last year. Help me win an AUCE crab feast and other valuable considerations. Wayne Bilo, good luck, my friends, with your new adventure. I hope you won't forget your NASCAR fans. Well, Wayne, we're here. We didn't forget you. And Lana Gissinger, Blaney was my pick. Thanks again, guys. Yes, absolutely, Lana. And Lana started off, we had our first 2 comments on our mystery caution from our longtime viewers. Lana, hey, let's go. I'm right there with you, Lana. Hey, let's go. And Wayne, welcome back, boys. Looking for a great season and some great predictions. Wayne from Canada. And how about the Canucks, Wayne? I think Wayne said you on the East Coast, Wayne? That's where I recall. Most Canadians seem to be. Toronto, that kind of deal. It's like saying, oh, yeah, you're from the United States, you're from New York. But as you know, I'm a big Vancouver Canucks fan. And we are kicking some ass this season. So, yeah, I'm stoked. Finally getting back to the playoffs. Can't wait. That's going to wrap it up. We'll see you guys again, hopefully on Tuesday. That's the day that I'm going to pencil in for the videos each week. Eric will have his first video coming up in a couple of weeks before the first Indy race. Same thing for CJ, so stay tuned for that. And again, let us know what you think. What's on your mind? All that kind of stuff. Definitely subscribe to the channel and share the videos too. That's also pretty important. And let me know what you want to see. What I haven't been able to give you today that you want to see every week that I can provide for you. Statistically speaking, odds. We'll post that up on the screen. We'll do that for sure, which we did, by the way, when we were doing our show the other day, the futures and things of that nature. So I'll do that. I'll post the odds, the DraftKings odds. So you could check a look at the current odds at the beginning of the week when we do these videos. But like I said, anything else that's on your mind, let us know, and we'll try to deliver. So good luck. Looks like it's going to be Monday. Don't care whenever it is. Good luck for this year's Daytona 500. It's a crap game, but hopefully it'll be a fun one. Hopefully it'll end in green, no caution. We don't want a Daytona 500 ending in yellow. And that's, I guess, the best we can hope for. So we'll see you guys again next week.